My first experience was that talent show, which I
Yeah.
sang completely terribly, and still like you know had the girl interested. So it was kind of a weird. I was like, I was not very good at all. Imagine if I get good at this.
He's a singer of American rock band Hollis Brown. They started in 2009 making honest American rock music. And you may know them from their songs Oh Sweet Nothing or Rain Dance. Please welcome Mike Montali to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for coming on. So, first question, just to kind of get it started, what was your first experience with music like, or what made you first get into music?
Oh man, great question. My first experience, I would call it, with music was discovering the Beatles probably when I was like
Yeah.
10 years old or something like that, and putting on my earphones at night and wishing that I was, on stage as one of the Beatles. I think that's what kind of got me started as, hearing them sing, hearing the quality of the songs, seeing them play. I think
Yeah.
they're the ones who got me into it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not alone there having dreams of being on stage with the Beatles, but
Unbelievable.
yeah, and so was that from that time, did you kind of know that music was what you wanted to do, or was there anything else when you were a kid that you thought about doing in life outside of music?
I think I always wanted to be a writer predominantly, and that was something that I always was interested in, telling stories, whether it was short stories or poetry or
So
but
actually more of like a author sort of writer, or not just a
yeah,
songwriter.
songs just kind of came. I tried everything, and songs kind of came the most naturally to me. And I remember I was in like seventh grade, and we were doing my first time ever singing in front of people was at my like school's talent show, and nobody wanted to sing, so I was like, "Screw it, I'll do it." And then I think we sang like a couple of like the biggest songs ever, And then when we got off stage, it was like the cutest popular girl in the school, like came up to me and was talking to me and stuff. So I was like, oh, wait a second, maybe I should do this. And
The peak of musical stardom when the cute girl at school starts talking to you.
Exactly, that was as good as it gets. So so I was like, maybe I should write some songs. So I started writing songs, and then it just things developed, doors opened, and started a music career.
Mm-hmm. And so, what kind of, I guess, once you started writing, what did that process kind of look like? Was there a learning period when you kind of had to like figure out how to write a song, like what that looked like?
Yeah, I think I kind of figured out pretty quickly what common forms were. Let's say like how to do it, and then I would just before I could really even play an instrument, I would just write lyrics in song form, just which were terrible and just horrible, embarrassing stuff. But when you're 13 years old, it's fine. And maybe if I go back, it's better than what I've been writing recently. Who knows? But yeah, and so I just kept writing. I just kept at it. I learned to play guitar, learned a little piano, learned a little drums. Just kind of started picking up instruments and figuring it out, and then I started a band and put those songs to work.
Yeah, and so was there any kind of steps you took to get better at songwriting? Did you like take any classes, read anything like that?
No, I really didn't. I think I just was like a sponge with listening to everything I could get my hands on that was anyone who was considered a major artist in any way. I just really dug into music and listened and try to soak up what I could. And like if you know how to play 3 chords on a acoustic guitar, you could write the greatest song. You know, it's like it's more about taste than anything else. To be honest with you, it's not like this skill that has to be honed in like a chess player or something. You know, you could really just if you know a few basic chords and you're able to kind of get out what's in your heart and your mind, you can connect in a huge way. So it's more about trying to tap into that zone, which I struggle with. You know, I still struggle with because I write for a band. You know, like my band Hollis Brown. It's not me. It's not my name. It's not so. Kind of the songs that we come up with have to represent all of us, and so it's a little different writing process than just like a solo singer-songwriter.
So being in more of a band setting like that, how do you balance that? What, like, how do you take kind of something that you wrote and try to make it applied to as much of the band as you can?
Yeah, well, me and my partner John Bonilla, we started the band together, and everything has to filter through the both of us, whether he has an idea or I have an idea. So we kind of keep each other honest, I guess, and on the course of what the band's direction is. So having those people that you respect and that you enjoy playing with, and you like what they do, like they filter out, the I guess, hopefully.
Yeah. And
not always, but hopefully.
And so starting this band, what kind of went into that? How did the band form, and how did you come up with Hollis Brown as the name for the band?
Yeah, we met in college at we met before. We went to high school together. We became friends in college at Queens College in New York City, and we started writing songs, constantly in my buddy John's dad's garage in Ozone Park, Queens. And we would just like sit back there, and we would literally just write songs for years and just hang out and play them and listen to music and, hang out. And then we said, well, we need to now play these songs for people. So we kind of started the classic way of just like sneaking in underage to random places and like playing Sunday nights, and then just gaining a following. And after a year or two, we were playing Friday nights, and then we were able to book a random show in Philadelphia, which was a quick drive, or Boston. And then we just kind of kept stretching. And basically over 10 years, every time we did a new record or something, we would stretch more and more. And then our last tour right before the pandemic, obviously, for Ozone Park was like 14 countries and 40 states or something like that. So it grew pretty good. It grew slowly, but it grew slowly, but it keeps growing. So we're kind of keeps us hooked.
Yeah, and that's typically how it goes with a slow growing following. But and
they're loyal too. People are loyal when they latch on. It's not like Fairweather, who's like, "Oh, I heard your song," on the radio.
You acquired a following that's willing to get tickets to shows, that's willing to spend money on albums, merch, whatever it is, and so that's a special thing to have. And you don't have a ton of fans that just like know of you and consume whatever online content you have, but then when it comes to getting out there, when it comes to spending money, they kind of back off. You have a much more,
man, that's such like a strange space. You're 100% right. That's such a strange thing about the music industry right now in general. It's that we're friends with we know a lot of people in the industry and blah blah blah, but we got friends who get like a crazy amount of Spotify streams. You wouldn't even believe it. But then when they go book a show, like nobody shows up, and you're like, how is this possible that you have 130,000 Instagram followers, but you're playing to like 30 people a night? Like what's going on here? So it's kind of strange it's a strange time for that, and for us, we're more like, I guess, classic and traditional in that way. Like we're more just, let's just get out and play and build something
Yeah,
solid and
a lot of
not
artists
work.
now are kind of focusing on their online presence, focusing on their Spotify streams, but is like you kind of have a more classic approach, or just focus on the music and performance first, and then everything else is kind of secondary. It follows that.
Yeah, and maybe that has disadvantages too. I'm not sure, but for us, it just feels right to do it this way. So
yeah, and
you just gotta honor what's in your heart, and just say, hey, we'd rather get out there and bring it to a smaller but mightier audience than maybe try and just produce something that we don't believe in just so we can, get some bullshit or something,
Yeah. And so once you kind of made that decision to go out to play in front of people, what was your first live show like? What was that kind of experience like for you?
You mean with Hollis Brown?
Yeah. Hollis Brown, or just like whatever your first experience on a stage performing to people was like. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by W Energy. W Energy is an energy drink you mix at home from a tub. It helps you focus, it helps you concentrate, it helps you win. W is a lot like these other energy drink mix companies you see, but it's better. They have better flavors, they have better taste, they have better products. You can get Dragonade, you can get Galaxy Grenade, you can get Dub Sludge, and so many more great flavors like Beach and Peach. Once you have the powder to make one of these flavors, you can also get one of W's own shaker cups to make your drinks at home. If energy drinks aren't your thing, no worries. You can get products like stickers and clothing that look awesome. If you just want to try out W, you can go ahead and get one of their starter packs. It comes with a shaker cup and 3 flavors. On top of that, any products you get on any order from W, you can save 10% by using my discount code Heroek. That's just my name, Heroek, in all caps. One more time, that's code Heroek at w.gg for 10% off any order. Go focus, go concentrate, go in, be better. W.
Yeah, I think my first experience was that talent show, which I sang completely terribly and still had the girl interested. So it was kind of a weird, I was like, I was not very good at all. Imagine if I get good at this. So that was my first thing with Hollis Brown. We were just young and crazy, and we just would play anything, anywhere, anytime. Anybody who wanted us, we would just go and play. So that's been our kind of mentality for 10 years. Now, obviously, we've gotten to a level where we don't have to pour it out maybe as much as we did, but we. If anybody even had a bar gig and they're like, hey, you want to come set up in the back of the bar and play? We're like, yeah, and we would do it. So we didn't really turn anything down. So that's one thing that I would tell younger artists and people just getting started. Beggars can't be choosers. Just get out in front of people.
Yeah, well, you're kind of stealing my next question there. What advice would you give to young artists, young bands just starting to try to get their name out there?
Well, I would say it depends really what you want to do. I would say figure out what you want to do. For us, we want to be a working band. We want to be a band that plays all around the country, and we want to bring live music to people, and we want to make albums and music that we like and that we believe in and that aren't told by labels and industry people. You need to sound like this. You need to dress like this, But that's kind of seeped into our career a little bit. Oh, you should wear this for this photo shoot or wear this for this show. And you just never, for us, we just want to feel like ourselves. And that's why I always say we're like honest American rock band. We just want to create what we want, when we want, how we want, and have the freedom to do that. And so that's what we want. But some people might want to be an Instagram, celebrity or something, and that's fine too. But it's not a path that I really know much about or care to know about. Or so I would say my first thing would be like figure out what type of artist you want to be and how you want to bring uh, your music to people.
Yeah, and that goal of just being a working band, do you think, like, have you kind of accomplished that goal or reached like a level that you're happy with Hollis Brown, or do you kind of want to always keep taking it to the next level, the next level? Like, what level do you want to reach with this band?
I think we got room to grow. Like
Yeah,
I think if it's ended right now and we look back, I think I would be appreciative that I've probably been able to accomplish more than most people who started a band or picked up
yeah,
an instrument, but I haven't accomplished as much as I want or that I think others have that I've know, and I'm like I want to do that. So there's
yeah,
always you always want to get more and more. I think keeps you hungry. The
yeah, yeah,
being hungry keeps you in it.
yeah. And so, um, was there ever kind of a moment that like you kind of hit a lull or found yourself maybe second guessing if music was the right path, or anything that made you kind of question like stopping music?
Nothing that's ever made me question stopping music. I'll be playing music in some capacity, but
Yeah,
it's like anything else. You're always self-evaluating and making sure you're doing it for the right. It's not an easy climb all the time, and if there's been a lot of times where you're second guessing if you're doing the right thing. What am I doing with my life? This the standard existential. Yeah, it's happened a lot, but never like
yeah,
stopping. Never stopping. Just more is what I'm doing or what we're doing as a band the right way to go.
yeah. And so once you kind of try, like, you sit down either with yourself or with the band and start a creative process, start trying to get a new song down, what does that kind of look like? Is it kind of writing and then figuring out what instruments would sound good with that? Do you have like some music first and you try to write to that?
Yeah, usually me and John sit around and I'll have an idea and I'll like voice memo it to him before we meet up or vice versa. And we'll get together, two of us in one of our living rooms or whatever, and we'll try and write the song, like the melody, the main parts of the song, the what the verse is, the chorus is, the most of the form, like get the song down. And then we go to the band in the band room when we're all on our instruments. We play the song for them. Then we just
Yeah,
start chipping away. And, we've been playing together so long. We know what each other likes. We know what each other is good at. We know what we're not good at. So, like, we kind of just gel pretty quickly over, like, well, I think this beat works well. Great. Can you add this and
yeah,
add this thing? Oh, yeah. How about maybe a harmony like this? Little things like that. And then we just kind of like, work it. And then we'll play it live before we record it, just to play it in front of people, just to see like what the response is it's working, how can
yeah,
we enhance it a little more. And then, yeah, so it's definitely a process with the band to get a song from start to finish that could take years sometimes.
yeah,
Could also
and
be pretty quick too.
yeah. And so when you kind of play these unreleased songs for crowds, do you find typically a more that they get more excited for it, that they kind of have more energy than that for like the songs they've been listening to for a while?
I think it varies. Sometimes you're in an environment where people might not want to hear stuff they know, and
Yeah,
sometimes you're in a place where everything you're playing is something new to a particular audience, and so it's like it varies, but I think for our core audience they get excited about the new stuff, which is encouraging.
yeah. Yeah. And so do you have like any inspirations from other artists, other bands? And like if you do, how do you kind of keep those intact while also putting your own spin on it and not just making it sound like a cut and paste copy of it?
Yeah, I mean, we're just, I'm a music fan, so I'm always looking to be inspired by different groups or different songwriters or different, you know, lyricists. Just I'm always looking to be inspired, so I'm always trying to be a sponge, like I mentioned earlier, and then take it back, and naturally it, you know, becomes its own thing, especially for us anyway, because we have different people playing it and bringing their own thing to it, so it just takes shape a little differently. But yeah, but I would say there's definitely huge uh, musical experiences that are brought to, you know, you always want to say, oh, I wish we could do something like, let's do something like this, let's do something like that, but then it doesn't really sound like that necessarily.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned it, playing like songs that you know that you've played before, but occasionally switching up who you play them with. How do you kind of find that changes a song, if it changes it at all?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Andy, our drummer, Andrew Zainal, who's one of the best drummers feel wise around,
Yeah.
he just has a great feel to his playing. It just always feels good. Um, you know, having him jump on a song that I write, it feels like Hollis Brown. Whereas if I were to take it to another drummer, they might have a heavier hand. They might have, a different beat in mind, a different groove in mind, different. So, two people playing the
Yeah.
same beat could be totally different.
Yeah.
So what Andy does to it makes it Hollis Brown,
Mm-hmm.
So I think having the band members bring their instincts and their vibe to it, really shapes the overall sound.
Yeah. And that just that name itself, Hollis Brown, where does that sort of come from? How did you collectively decide on that as the band name?
Yeah, we were sitting around in the early days and we were like, what are we going to call this band? The usual take 3 months and come up with everything you could think of. Then you get in the rabbit hole of like nothing starts sounding good. So
Yeah.
we went back to like how other bands got their names, and we saw that the Rolling Stones picked their name from a Muddy Waters song. So we said, let's find a song that we could pick our band name from. So we found the Ballad of Hollis Brown, and we wanted to pick a Bob Dylan song because he's like the gold standard of American songwriting.
Yeah.
And so we're like, let's pick a Dylan song, and Hollis Brown just made sense because it had a little darkness to it, had a little edge to it, the song, and also it kind of gave us an identity collectively as opposed to a bunch of individuals. It was like together we're this one Hollis Brown thing. So we were like, let's do it. And so for better or worse, that's the name. I think we could have picked a better name probably, but we got what we got.
Do you remember what any of the other name options were when you were coming up with it?
Yeah, there was Mother's Little Helper was one. What was the other one? There was just Start the Revolution was another one, which was actually kind of cool, but not like a little too political. Like we're not like Rage Against the Machine, Well, don't get me wrong, but it's not our.
Yeah.
We don't occupy.
You don't have
space.
As much of a like fight the power vibe to your music.
We don't occupy that space. Yeah, there was a bunch of them, stuff like that. Like,
Are you a music artist trying to find a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible? Then check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a super user-friendly and super easy-to-use service that will make your music available in stores like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. Everything you could imagine, it's available. People will even be able to add your songs into their Instagram stories. DistroKid helps you with the distribution, monetization, and promotion of all of your music. Use the link in the description of this video for 7% off any DistroKid package you want. Pick from musician packages designed to help artists get their own music out there, or even get a label package where you can manage up to 100 artists from one profile. So that's more for like managers, labels, and you can also get the musician package that I mentioned earlier, which is more for artists, producers, things like that. It's super easy, and you can get 7% off any package right now with the link in the description of this video. So once again, if you're looking for a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible, I'm talking any platform you can think of, get DistroKid and get 7% off right now with the link in the description. Back to the program. We touched on it earlier with the whole online presence, social media aspect of the music industry now. Like when you kind of took Hollis Brown to have an online presence, what did that look like, and how do you what are some pros and cons you think that is brought to the music world?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, social media is important. Like, you can't ignore it necessarily. When we started, social media was slow because we're not models showing their skin for likes. You know what I mean? So we kind of were like a bunch of dudes just putting up us playing guitars and stuff, and so it was a slow start. But
even better.
Throughout the years, we kind of, our people started paying attention, we've kind of built it, to an appropriate level where we can get the word out. And it's been very helpful to spread the narrative, announce things, tell people what's going on. So that's been good. And yeah, I think it's an important aspect of being a musician and in the entertainment world. But for us, it's not necessarily the only aspect, whereas for a lot of people it is. They live and die by their Instagram handle. And for us, luckily, maybe perhaps long-term benefit is that we haven't done that, and so we're able to make it a big part of what we do, but not the only thing what we do.
Yeah, it's not sort of a mainstay of the band. It's not the largest part of.
Yeah, I mean, it's comforting to know that, and first of all, let's be honest, social media is all, fake follower bullshit a lot of the time. So, you know what I mean? Bots and things. So it's not actually a representation of what your audience is. So it's nice to know that if social media, gets regulated tomorrow and everybody starts losing all their accounts and fake followers and stuff, that we would still be in the same place in a lot of ways, because our stuff's legit, and we have real people who like what we do. So that's comforting to know that maybe for the long game we're building something solid. But in the short term, you don't get those opportunities necessarily that might be more hot tastemaker, things. So it's a bit of a trade. You got to pick and choose. So a little earlier you were talking about you didn't want the kind of manager label feeling of do this, do that, here's a release date. Has Hollis Brown been an independent band since it started? Well, we've been an indie band, yeah, but we've always had a record label, and we've had management and booking agents. So we do have and a publisher. So we got a great team. We have a great team of people that we work with who really helped elevate our our level, and the people have heard us. So we've got a great label called Mascot Label Group. We've got a great publisher called Rally Music. Great booking agent named Dan Boyle at APA. So we've got industry people working us, but we've been fortunate that everybody that we're working with is very artist friendly. Yeah, they let us kind of dictate what we want to do, and then they
You're
work
not
to make
likely
it.
to run into one of these like label horror stories you're hearing about a lot more now,
Yeah,
where like it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
like we
we
don't
had no
feel
creative
trapped.
freedom. We were told what to write, when to write it, when to release it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really that way. So for us, it works because we can make the music we want to make, and then we have a great team who are supportive and believe in us and get us working.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so I guess like is there a song that you've released as Hollis Brown that kind of defied your expectations one way or another that kind of maybe you didn't expect much from it and it like performed very well, or maybe you're super excited to release it and then once released it didn't get as much traction as you thought it would? Anything like that?
Sure, yeah, that happens all the time. There's a song called "Run Right to You" that we made that wound up getting like synced a bunch on a bunch of advertisements and trailers and commercials and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and we had some really success on a AAA radio format from it and became like a minor hit. And we were really shocked by it, and our music video did really well. So we were really surprised by it because we kind of just recorded it quickly and threw it together just to have a new song for whatever, just to put a new song out, and it just kind of. And then of course we've had others that we were like, oh, this is the one. This is going to be the biggest song of the year, and it had like mild reaction. So you just never know. I
Yeah.
guess you just got to
Yeah.
keep trying, and people, at the end of the day, you can have all the money, you can have all the industry behind you, you can have but if you don't connect, like music is meant to be experienced and connected with by people. So if they're not responding to it, it has to pass a litmus test at the end of the day.
Yeah. And like if Hollis Brown like was kind of presented with like the magical opportunity that you could make a song with any band, any artist in the world, like who do you think he would pick, and like why?
Man, that's really tough. That's super tough. I mean, there's obviously like pop artists that you would want to do it with, so you could just be huge quickly. Like Kanye West or whatever.
Yeah. I get a lot of those answers. It's kind of like, well, I asked this question and then they're like, well, I love this person because like I've been a fan of them, and I think we would just really sound good together. But if I just want streams, I'd do like Drake or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Like, it's a loaded question. It's like, do I want to be instantly famous and rich, or do I want to just have a great time making something?
Yeah.
So you know what though? Honestly, like Kanye West is like a really good balance of both, because I'm a huge fan, and also he's like the most famous musician in the world. So I would say probably somebody like that. But I wouldn't want I would try and do something a little different, like rock, still rock based.
Yeah. And so and I think that would work well with Kanye, because I think he is definitely now open to kind of branching out to different styles of music, different genres. He's not kind of stuck in a hole with all his songs sounding the same.
Yeah, well, that's for sure, right? He's had periods, but he has released a few pieces of music that have kind of had some rock energy on it, So I think it would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And so if like, do you have any sort of like dream venue that you'd want to play, like kind of this theater over here, or this big arena over there, like any place that you've like dreamed of playing a show
at? Absolutely, tons of them. I would like to play. Man, there's so many of them, man. Like the Beacon Theater, Madison Square Garden. There's a lot of places I like to play for sure. I've got to play a couple of them already, but definitely I would say probably the Garden, because I'm a New Yorker, and
and kind of coming back down to reality, what it has been a show that you have already played that like is kind of your favorite or that you have a special connection to?
Great question as well. I would say playing Red Rocks in Colorado was pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Probably Red Rocks there. I mean, maybe like playing our first festival in the Netherlands, like in Europe for the first time. That was a really
Yeah.
like, we're onto something kind of moment. So
Yeah. And going overseas to somewhere like the Netherlands, playing in front of a festival crowd like that, did you kind of maintain energy with the crowd, or did you find that like since it's international, they're like there for the festival and not everyone's there for you specifically, what was that kind of what
oh
were
no,
the
we
differences
rocked it,
there than
man.
playing your own show?
We rocked it. It was awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, Europe, the audiences country to country are different. Like some of them some countries are very animated, and then some countries are very focused and they're respectful in a way where they're just kind of standing or sitting quietly and they don't
Yeah.
talk and they don't move, and you're wondering while you're performing, like, is this going over well? And then at the
They
very
treat it
end,
like a classical concert,
yeah,
just
but then
kind of
like the song ends and there's like a huge, appreciative,
yeah.
applause or cheering and stuff. But then right back to quiet. And while you're playing, it's very so it changes. But it's not. I've come to learn after doing this so long in so many places that people experience, like, there's not one way to experience things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like, just because there might be quiet, that doesn't mean that they're not having a good time or enjoying it. It just means that they're listening, or just because they're talking while you're trying to do something that's soft, that doesn't mean that they're like, not
Trying to
interested, or
ruin it. Yeah.
yeah, they're just having a good time, maybe. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
a strange, you got to just roll with it and hope that at the very end, by the end of the show, with all its ups and downs and quirks and you know, out of tunage and guitar string breaks and weirdness that amp blows, whatever, that everybody walks away having had a good time.
Yeah. And so is there kind of a song that you've released with Hollis Brown that you find is your favorite, that you kind of maybe you spent an extra amount of time writing it, maybe you just love the way it sounds, like a favorite song of yours?
Yeah, there is. I like "Wait for Me, Virginia" a lot. That's a good one. That's
Hmm.
off our second album. I like. Yeah, I guess I would say I like "Wait for Me, Virginia" if I had to
Yeah.
pick one that I'm like, one song that I think we nailed, because it's kind of got a good story. It's got good lyrics. It's got a good hook, and it's got a recording that's a little rough that I tend
Yeah.
to like.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are all the questions I had for you today. Thank you
Cool, man.
so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on. Where can people find you or the band online, websites, upcoming shows, anything like that?
Yeah, you can find everything at hollisbrown.com. You could check us out on basically anywhere you're interested at Hollis Brown, Apple Music, Spotify, record stores, so Instagram, Twitter, where basically wherever you might think. If you look up Hollis
Yeah.
Brown, you'll see us.
Yeah. And I'll leave a link to some of that down below. Thank you so much again for coming on. And I can't
Yeah,
wait to see what you do in the future with this band.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's nice talking to you.